Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Jerome Sawyer, who's filling in for Rogan. She had a family emergency, so she couldn't be here. Thanks, Ken. Ken, of course, Ken Williams is our man on the scene. Jerome.
I saw.
This is Reflection. Good afternoon to the folks. To all
Good to be here. Happy Thursday.
To the listening people. Yes, Thursday.
Yeah.
They're coming around quickly. I did tell you about my plan. I hope I can get you and Ken support. And it's actually a part of the theme about me moving into corruption. You know,
into corruption.
I think it's best. I think it's for me.
Like in the corruption department.
Ken is looking baffled. Okay, so what that mean? Okay, no, it means I think this honesty thing. No, I just think this honesty thing isn't paying off. Okay, but I was going to say, there are a couple of avenues, and one of the things I'm contemplating is forming, not just building a church. People build a church. They build a church and then they, get a flock. I'm thinking of starting a whole religion. That way it can go global, and I can be at the top of the global pyramid.
And then you have to will it to your children, and
that's they on their own. I'm not fighting that.
But you see, they're keeping the family that way.
What you do is you make them pastors.
That's
and
what
things.
I said. You put them in charge like
like Billy Graham and Oral Roberts and all that. It's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
But I have my name and everything. I'm going to be calling myself Shepherd Fields. I have the name of my religion, which, you see, the thing is about anything, no matter what you do, you have to have a gimmick. Because what you need is, you don't need a trickling. You don't need any trickling in following. You need a mass rush to following right away, so you can have a critical mass, so you can start milking them.
Yeah, big.
So I want people, okay? So because I need to be at the top of the pyramid. You can't be on top of a pyramid if only two people under you. Okay, that ain't no pyramid. That's like a triangle. I don't know what that is. So I'm thinking I'm going to form a church, and my gimmick immediately is it's going to be the Second Day Adventist.
The second day?
Second day, yeah. See, Saturday was a bad choice for the 7th day because, second day. The second day in the week is Monday.
Okay.
What I'm promising you is a long weekend.
So you could live off everybody else.
See, you get off work Friday, okay, and you can't go to work till Tuesday.
For religious reasons.
Okay.
You basically loaf it off everybody else.
Okay.
Sabbath.
So what happened is, I have my own Sabbath. I can come up with a system. Second day Adventist, that made Monday is our holy day.
Yeah.
Okay. So once you knock off Friday, okay, you got a long weekend. Okay, that's the whole thing. Okay. Now, if you could sell the right story, I think you could get a lot of people buying into that.
Yeah, man.
All you lazy people, all you non-ambitious people. Okay. Yeah, Monday off. Okay, but them.
Yeah.
See, and the thing is, they're not even believing anything you say, but they just want the time off. But they got to pay for that. They got to pay for that because I have to certify you as being a member. Otherwise, you can't get the time off.
Yeah, you can't take it to the boss and say, I got to be off.
No, if it ain't signed by Shepherd Fields, ain't nothing happening. Okay? So the question is if you want to get in on the ground floor of that. You see? Because it's a pyramid, Jerome.
But it's a premium to join early.
No.
Okay.
It's cheaper.
Okay.
It's a premium to come in late. Yeah, man. You jump in now and see, you on the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that though.
And I know you're a man who could use a Monday off.
Thank you, Bola. Yeah. Bloody Mondays. Feel like.
Yeah. No, sorry, I can't attend because as you know, I'm observing the Sabbath.
I can't do Monday morning
meetings.
Like Sabbath.
Meanwhile, of course, that's all you hangover people.
Yeah.
So that's a form of corruption, but it's something that is, gray. It ain't outward corruption. You do some charity work. Just something.
Give a couple of dollars.
A couple of dollars to a home or something like that. Just to see, make it official. But now I'm going to segue because this is again the church thing. Why comment at all at this day? I mean, is it going to be an annual comment? Is it like back to school? Where the school ain't ready.
Yeah. It's happening every year.
So let's get our thing ready.
You wait till the 11th hour.
Well, I think they do that because they know they can't turn it around. At that point, they ain't got the kind of gumption. Listen, this is my good friend, Mr. Fernando. Look, listen, man. Vulgarity is subjective, to say the least,
I was
right?
going to say the same thing. So what you call vulgar, somebody else may call an expression.
And how you decide to deal with that is there's two ways, several ways actually. Don't turn on your TV, or stay home.
Very easy.
Okay, because if you're not, it's like the thing about does a tree in the forest make noise?
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't in the forest, you don't see the vulgarity. And the thing is this correlation, and I had a big argument with Kevin Harris many years ago on this, right? About if you recall, because I was involved in that carnival committee, and there were just so many ridiculous premises, right? And one was, if you recall, that if we have this carnival and these people dress like this, and this is a quote now, that they're going to go home and molest their, I think, relatives. You recall that quote?
What?
That was a quote. That was a quote. I don't want to attribute it to a specific person, but I can big it up. You will go home, and then you're going to find an increase in child molestation because of this exposure to these skimpy costumes. So on the radio, it was at Malaya, I said to Mr. Harris, I said, so you're telling me, Mr. Harris, that when you go to the beach and you see women in bikinis, your inclination, or I don't know if I used him directly, but the inclination for someone who's at the beach and see women in bikinis is to go home and molest one of their relatives? That's what the deal is? No wonder we got the Bakers.
Quakers.
The burqa.
Yeah, the cover from head to toe.
I mean, those kind of assertions are, you know who they're guided at? And I'm not allowed to say these certain words. Jerome can say them. They're really, really aimed at those who are mindless.
Yeah, you have to be some kind of...
I see Jerome. Jerome has gone into his reserved mode.
Stupid to think of something like that. Because, okay, first of all, if you ever been around or been to carnival, when you come up, the only thing you'll do is sleep. You drunk or dying. That's the last thing on your mind.
Right. But he's saying it has a residual effect. So that's the other thing. Again, going to your point about carnival, you're going to kind of remember, I saw them 4 girls the other day.
Yeah, so
boy, I better go. I running hot. I better.
You're but I don't even want paid. I just want laid out.
Exactly.
You are just. But
it's just these assertions, and there's no what do you call it? Empirical.
Yeah.
Evidence. It's just statements. I could say, for people who go to church, they become mindless. Yeah. That would be silly. And non-empirically support.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And irresponsible.
And irresponsible,
But then, again, then you wonder why the church is losing credibility. And why people are turning away because,
Is it losing credibility?
I
don't know.
I mean, people don't take that was a joke. I'm sorry. But everywhere I went today and what I saw, people were like, are you serious? Of all the things that you're going to wait until now and this is what you want to come. That's the reaction that I got. So, sorry, but there are so many other things that need to be addressed or that should be or properly discussed. And the thing is, I would think if the Christian Council and others have an issue with it, as opposed to just coming out outright condemning it, call the carnival leaders, have a forum. That's what responsible people do. Come and discuss and say, okay, these are our concerns. This is how we feel. Get together. Why is it we can't ever discuss anything?
But you talk about that, but I'm going to oppose that, and I'll tell you why. I'm not calling them together to discuss what I want to see in their church. That's your thing, right? It's your church.
People going to carnival.
You exactly. So, you determine what you're going to do in your church.
Yeah.
I'll determine what I'm going to do in my church. You don't see the Catholics going up to Pentecostal and say, listen, y'all got to start kneeling, Y'all ain't kneeling. Y'all ain't doing the sign of the cross. We got a problem.
But I don't know. I just think, I use that as an example, but I just think we need to find other ways to address.
Well, the thing is, it seems that the Christian Council, the Christian Council has always been a pet peeve of mine.
And
again,
many other people.
This is not personal to these individuals, but if you recall, and I've been around a little longer than you, the Christian Council has had several what I would call almost iconic, but certainly pivotal issues they've dealt with, right? Mm-hmm. One was being, and I don't know if you remember this, Ken, you probably maybe too young to remember this. One was Sunday shopping.
You took the words right out of my. I remember that very clearly. Sunday shopping.
Sunday shopping.
Yeah.
As a result, of course,
issue.
You know,
because
in the 90s, 92, 93, when the FNM took over, they changed it. Yeah. Because, of course, you know, going to shop on a Sunday, that's just, it's going to cause you to
you're going to have.
You're going to molest someone. Yeah. Then was, of course, gambling was another one. Yeah. Okay. Of course, homosexuality are going to be there for a little while for them. Mm-hmm. Then marijuana is going to be a nice one for them too. That could be good. Except my man Simeon is on the case. Mm-hmm. Simeon Hall, because that could be the devil, the smoke, but not alcohol now, just the smoke.
No, that's okay.
Because it's gaseous, you see. So gaseous, mind-altering substances are more devilish inducing than liquor. And then now carnival. So they got the things. Once they have their things, what I think the Christian Council should be doing is just doing Christian things.
How about
outreach,
that?
Ministry,
yeah,
school, education. Not telling me what I can't do, because guess what? Poor. I'm going to do it if I wish to do it. And please do not tell the government to tell me not to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what happened in the referendum. These folks were involved in saying to women, you can't be equal.
Yeah.
Of course, they believe that too.
Yeah.
They tell them sit at the back and they.
Again, you have a bunch of people who are out of touch with society and where people are evolving to and how to reach people. And I would say there's certain fundamental issues that don't change, certain issues of morality. But even with that, you can't legislate morality. You can't tell people what to do within their lives. You can let your own light shine, but people look at you and say, well,
or if you want to come into my world and I can preach to you there. And you should be looking at how to expand your base as how to discourage and disincentivize people. Yeah. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Fields here along with Jerome. Now I was going to go to Fitzgerald. Last week was Gomez. Okay?
I just got laughed.
Yeah. I go wait for Miller. Miller will be next week. Okay? Our guest this afternoon, by the way, is Mr. Woods from the Water and Sewage Corporation Union, and his, it's sad because my mind is a blank. I'll get it in a couple of minutes. The two unions are presidents from the Water and Sewage Corporation. We'll get them in a second. Yeah. So we're talking about various things. I just saw something that was very interesting, Jerome, and it was the police report. Which, I don't know how I should react to this, but the police reported that there was an attempted robbery in the Sea Breeze area, that 3 perpetrators were Mr. Moss and Mr. Woods from the union, were attempting to rob or break into this place. That I guess the police were there pretty quickly. And the 3 attempted to run away. 2 were caught. 1 jumped in the canal. I have to say this is, somber as possible. The person who jumped in the canal obviously could not swim and essentially drowned. What do we comment on that, Jerome? I mean, is it?
At what point?
Yeah. I just, the only lesson that can be learned from that is, as soon as I get home, I'm going to start to dig my moat.
Right out.
Not my house.
For the drawbridge.
Because it's obviously an effective means.
What was the thought process? I guess when you're panicking.
Not going to jail.
Yeah, wow.
Not going to jail.
Literally a fate worse than death, going to jail.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So that went down.
Boss, I'm sorry, carried me in. Yeah. But I'd be curious, though, as to whether, like, the police attempted to save him?
Well, I wasn't there, so that's all I can say.
I'm just curious. I'd like to. I would have liked to
maybe
know
they threw a rope, or I don't know.
A little bit more.
Maybe
out
they
of
couldn't swim. I don't know. Maybe they say. By the way, I've done life saving. Life saving. You don't just jump in.
No, that's it, because you can lose your own life. When people are drowning.
You don't just jump in, especially if the person is trying to escape from you.
Yeah.
And if they're drowning. By the way, I actually have experienced it. Wow. I was at a high school party. Mm-hmm. People who were there, and we were fooling around. And the housekeeper was near the pool, and anyway, I kind of edged someone into the pool to begin the pool throwing into the pool thing.
The instigator.
Right. And next thing I know, the housekeeper had been thrown into the pool, and no big deal. But then when I looked around, I saw the housekeeper at the bottom of the pool. So I went down to grab her. Okay, and when I grabbed her, she put a death grip on my head. I used to have an afro back then. To push down on me to get up because it's just panic. You're not thinking like I'm hurting Ed. No, I just need air. Yeah. Okay, so she pushed down on me in a death grip.
I've heard about people say that there's a death grip.
Oh yeah, and let me tell you, the only reason why I was able to survive is because I had taken life saving and I punched her in her stomach. That's what you do. If you punch them in the stomach, they can't. They're
immobile.
And then I pulled her out. You see? And if I hadn't been trained...
Wow.
And this is at high school. Yeah,
that's good to know.
If I hadn't been trained, and this is at high school level, I did the Royal... I got up to, advanced Royal Life Saving thing. And there's lots of ways to survive but you don't just... If you see someone drowning and you're not trained in life saving, throw them something.
Get them to hold on.
Put a stick... But do not jump in after them.
Yeah, that part I know, and I've heard that. Yeah.
So, speaking of which, another thing that is a little disturbing, if it's true, I don't know, I never know what's real or not, but I tend to think, I'm going to be honest with you, that if it appears in the dailies, that it has some credibility, right? Apparently, and again, this is all alleged. The defense force officers who allegedly shot the other defense force officer. Apparently, this officer had drawn a gun prior, according to this, right? The Royal Police Defense Force has launched an internal investigation. Reports a Marine was forced to draw his gun on another in an altercation. No, this was Saturday. This is a different one.
Incident.
This another one.
Yeah, another
But I
incident.
understand that this was reported. I'd heard that this was reported. Did you see that?
I saw that. Somebody sent me that actual report.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was reported that this incident that happened, there was an altercation between these two people before. I don't know if you saw that report.
No, I didn't see that.
In fact, I don't know where it was. Maybe it was in So, see. Oh. Now, I don't know, again, we don't know. But if that is the case, the question would be if you're on any job, I don't really care what job it is. Okay? Radio, you and you have a little altercation.
God, no.
You pull a gun on me.
Yeah, you quite cool.
Do you get just a couple of weeks off?
A verbal warning.
Is your file noted?
So that would be grounds for dismissal. I
think you should just dismiss yourself.
Yeah.
I don't even think you should.
As a matter of fact, that should be. You pull a gun on somebody. That's a criminal charge.
That's a criminal charge.
That's
okay.
attempted
so
murder.
I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how, for instance, in this case, officer drew gun on drunk Marine. That person should be gone. There's no wiggle room here.
You don't be pulling gun. I mean, take a week off.
No, that's take everything off.
Yeah.
So I just hope that was not the case because you see, because it seems to me, and this is where we get into the U.S. speculative talk show stuff, that this thing escalated. It wasn't a on the spot deal, right? And you never know if.
First time.
Say again?
May not have been the first time.
So you just never know if that had been separated, if it not had been, would not have resulted in that.
Wow.
And then, of course, there's still this talk about. It goes to show you, by the way, and we're going to segue into about about how rules apply to the meek as opposed to the might. I once heard a great quote, Jerome Sawyer. When people say the meek shall inherit the earth,
Mm-hmm.
I say to someone, fine, then I'll just push them down and take it. The meek, I don't care about the meek. Okay? If the meek inherit anything, I would just push them down.
No, but good point.
Okay? But goes to this point about, with the carnival thing, right? And then I'm going to segue into our man Trump in a bit. What are we going to do? Are we going to be in a position where we got some deals on the table with these folks to where we can't get too loud? I don't know. You see what I'm saying? But they obviously don't care what they do. Now, if I read the reports correctly, this dumping, quote unquote, was inadvertent. Is that what you recall reading?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I read the statement yesterday.
How do you do that? How do you not know?
You miss.
Well, I mean, don't you know that it's gone? The stuff is gone.
At some point you go, the other thing is it was in the tank. Like it was there when we left.
Yeah, we're a little lighter now.
Yeah. So you have gauges that look at these things and all. I mean,
and how many times is this happening, and why is it happening here the most? It's not inadvertent that much elsewhere.
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
So I'm just a little, that we got to keep an eye on that,
Yeah.
Because these are the very people who want to push down on us, right?
Yeah.
One other thing on that note, and we can talk about this, to the extent that there are some extenuating circumstances. The rape acquittal. Did you see it? The jet ski.
Mm-hmm.
The jet ski operator who was accused of raping a young lady, and this is not to be taken lightly, was acquitted. And the basis of the acquittal was that the accuser had said in a post, you saw this stuff? You didn't see this?
No.
The lawyer, and they must have did some good research, the lawyer found a Facebook post by the accuser like 2 or 3 days after she left the Bahamas, which said how much of a great time she had.
What? Okay.
And had pictures about these are Bahamian gals and how. Let me find the thing, man. Jerome,
what?
She said she had a great time in the Bahamas, and then there was another reference to her Bahamian girls. These are Bahamian girls. Now, this is how I feel. I don't know how it feels to be raped. I'm not going to pretend that I know how that feels. But I don't think that a week later you're thinking about the great time versus this major dramatic experience.
Yeah.
I don't want to judge.
Yeah, but no, that speaks to credibility. Like, and again, having never been to the experience, but my limited knowledge, it is a psychologically and an emotionally traumatic experience.
Which you don't forget forever.
Yes,
and it washes away the great time.
Yeah, like
you got a great time right now.
And
someone tried come and punch you in your face.
Would supersede everything else that would have happened on the trip.
Right.
Wow.
And what they're making correlation to, and this is very concerning, because there have been subsequent attacks, and I don't know what the outcome of those have been. But that was one apparently where the first advisory went out in terms of against jet skis.
Mm-hmm.
The implications, not only on that gentleman who was accused, but on this country.
On the industry.
But she had a great time.
Yeah.
I don't feel friendly toward her now.
No,
I don't feel sympathetic.
And there are a couple things. There are a couple issues now, because anybody who is involved in these kinds of things will tell you now what it does is it makes it harder for the real rape victim.
Right.
It makes it.
It diminishes their
exactly, and makes it a lot more difficult going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But then a lot of times, and this is not to say that it's right, but a lot of times when people come here, get involved in situations, and and for whatever reason they're inebriated, or they had a little bit of the a little bit of the ganja or whatever, and cannabis, yeah, and on thinking straight, make some rash decisions, and then go to the extreme now, or don't necessarily properly represent the facts and what would have happened. That's not to say that happens in every case. But, we have to be, and I always say this.
It's a mixed bag, and that's the problem, because you have false accusations.
We have to also, too, for our young men and our people involved in these industries and any tourism-related industry, that you have to make sure you safeguard yourself and make sure that you aren't found in a compromising position or place, or being questioned.
The law or the policy is that a jet ski operator, for instance, is not supposed to be on the jet ski with this passenger.
Do you know that?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the question, how you protect yourself? Don't go on a jet ski with the person.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are ways. I've said to the department, I said, look, put some buoys. Them big regatta buoys.
Yeah.
Anyone, a jet ski, you go past that, a jet ski operator, law enforcement goes out and says, excuse me, you passed the boundary.
Come back. Yeah.
Okay, because you're not going to get raped in the water.
Yeah.
Okay, it's only when they go to these islands and keys. Okay, yeah. So just come back. You outside that, we catch you once, it's a warning. The second time, we pull you in.
You know what I also
simple.
What's also concerned, I see it almost daily. We're talking about the jet ski operators. These scooter operators as well, because you see them, the girl on the back, and they flying down West Bay Street, and
Kwaku.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, now what?
By the way, I'm going to talk to you about Airbnb.
Yeah, I'm thinking, now where he carrying? What she coming to see?
I'm concerned about we're profiling, of course.
Yeah.
Because I profiled the other day. I was on Farrington Road, and I saw two people who I profiled.
Yeah.
This is an anomaly. Okay? Because I grew up on Farrington Road, and I never saw any folks like that in that profile. But that's what Airbnb. Airbnb people got people through Peter Street and and see in the Bahamas, right? You can put in a post 10 minutes from beach. Yeah. No matter the direction. No matter. See, if you put the safety thing, wow, 10 minutes from the beach.
Dumping ground corner.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
West Street.
We'll be right back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Jerome Sawyer. Nee Miller, Nee Fitzgerald, Nee Gomez.
Jerome is the name of a saying too, right?
Well, someone said that. So, it's Jerome. What is he the saint of?
I don't know. I did not realize it until...
Fermentation?
What?
Fermentation.
That's a thing. That's a thing.
No, but I heard of Saint Jerome.
Yeah, when the Pope died, John Paul, they did the litany of saints, and that's the first time I heard it.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. You know what? I'm going to find this because
I can't remember.
This is something we need to find out. Hold on. Saint Jerome. He was a priest, first of all. Was a Christian priest, a confessor, theologian. He was born at Stridon in the village near Emona, on the border of Dalmatia and what is it? What are these places? Okay. He died in Bethlehem.
Okay.
So it's
yes. All right.
And I want to see what he's a saint
his body might be there then.
He's usually a saint of something.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's a saint of. And he had to obviously do some miracles because that's what you have to do. But he's patronage archaeologists, archivists, Bible scholars, librarians, school children, students. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Yeah, so they say. Before we bring on a guest, I want to talk about what's transpired. By the way, I've 99% turned off of the whole Donald Trump thing. It's too tiring. It's like, it's just like watching. It's like watching the Roadrunner. Yeah. They're never going to get him. You know what I mean? And it's just like you think, they got him now, but no, Wile E. Coyote is never going to get him. But what I tell you, what concerns me in this country, we are at the, I want to say, mercy almost of the bigger powers. specifically the United States when it comes to our industry, et cetera, et cetera. And, we get challenged a lot on our rule of law. Okay? Our rule of law.
For failing to comply.
To comply and to do things, etc. When a sitting attorney general can say, "Well, I ain't coming. I ain't coming to the thing."
Later for you.
It's it's a very scary thing, because it's like all bets are off. It's like, we had this piece of paper that said you do it this way and you do it that way. But you know what? We've decided since 3 months ago, because, when your boy Kavanaugh was getting confirmed, they had lawyers. Remember that lady lawyer?
Yeah, who came
she
lasted like half a session.
Yeah, and then they triggered.
By lunch, she was gone.
Yeah. But they used that lady lawyer to do that. And now he's saying, well, no, I'm not doing that. I don't have to do that. So he's just not even showing up. But I'm happy. I'm very happy about my man Mueller, because Mueller said, I write that.
He said, hold up, y'all. Hold up.
I don't think he leaked the letter.
Who what?
Mueller had 2 letters that he wrote to Barr. Someone leaked the letter.
Listen to me. There are more leakers in Washington than a roof after a hurricane.
But if I send the letter to you,
everybody leaking.
But if I send the letter to you, how many people see the letter to you?
Technically, only me and you.
Right.
Technically, yeah. So.
But the letter had on it something like received. So Mueller ain't send that because he ain't have a copy of the received thing. So one thing I know for sure, that whole report is going to get leaked.
Oh, yes.
Unredacted.
Yeah, and that's the part I'm waiting on, because, Congress keeps asking for the unredacted report. I'm like, y'all can get that leaked, right? So I'd be like, but yeah.
Someone who's just incensed.
Yeah, I'd be like, you know what? They just gonna be like, here, buddy. Don't tell nobody.
The last one who did that was known under the cover name of Deep Throat.
Yes,
during
yeah. I'm not old, and I wasn't old enough to remember when it happened, but I knew about it. I remember
they just discovered who Deep Throat was recently.
Yeah.
But no, it's just so obvious. So here's the deal. At the very most childish level, and this is for everyone and sundry to listen to, including those who might be spying on us. Okay, this is just basic stuff. If you in your house, your mother says to you, do not eat the candy. It's a simple thing. Basic. Do not eat the candy. So she goes out to work, and you eat the candy. Okay? And the candy happens to be chocolate. It's chocolate, and you're 5, so you don't realize for some reason, or you do realize that chocolate stains.
Your fingers,
your mouth, on your shirt or whatever, right? So you realize mommy coming home, because good or bad, your mommy coming home, and the chocolate gone. And mommy, you weren't thinking about the ramifications when you were eating the chocolate, because the chocolate tastes so good. But when you realize the chocolate all over your clothes, all over your fingers and mouth, and mommy coming home, you realize you don't have a plausible lie to tell as long as the chocolate is on you. So what you do is you take off the shirt and you throw it in the garbage or something like that.
Ball it up.
So when mommy comes home, she sees 2 things that correlate. A, the chocolate is missing. I'm making up this analogy on the fly, okay? The chocolate is missing, and your shirt is off. So she says to you, did you eat the chocolate? And you say, no, I didn't eat the chocolate.
No collusion.
No collusion with the chocolate. So she says, well, why is your shirt off? And you go, which shirt? Okay? The shirt that I left you in when I left this morning. Where's the shirt? I don't know.
You only leave me in no shirt.
What's that? You didn't leave me in my shirt. I need to see the shirt. No, I can't show you the shirt. Okay? So the mother starts to think, why is he hiding the shirt?
Yeah.
You don't hide the shirt if there's nothing to hide.
Yeah.
You just say, okay, mommy, you know what? I didn't feel like wearing the shirt. Here's the shirt. Then there's no chocolate on the shirt. You're scot-free. A clean shirt.
Yeah.
Okay? But you don't dare show her the unredacted shirt.
Yes. Because all the evidence
is on the shirt. So you probably get the shirt and you do like a magic bako over the shake. Yeah.
No, you have your boy.
Your boy. First, he does a summary ahead of time saying, well, let me tell you what happened.
Yeah,
we didn't find any conclusion as to whether he ate the chocolate.
There was no chocolate on the shirt. Yeah.
There was no, in fact,
there was no chocolate.
There was no chocolate in the house.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, there was never any chocolate here.
But could we see the shirt, please? Okay, I tell you what, I'm going to give you the shirt. You give me the shirt, and the shirt has a big hole cut out. In the front of the shirt. Just a hole. Excuse me, why can't I see the whole shirt? Well, it's national security.
Yeah, it's sensitive.
It's sensitive information. Yeah. No, it's damning. It's damning information. So I don't know why they think we don't know that something is amiss. It may not be that. See, because the other thing is, what?
Several things.
So the other thing might be is, what? There was no chocolate on the shirt. Okay? But what was on the shirt was the spaghetti. Mm-hmm. He don't want you to worry. He isn't worried about the chocolate. But you also told him not to touch the spaghetti. And he touched the spaghetti, and there's spaghetti sauce on the shirt. So he can't share the shirt because the other...
the spaghetti sauce on top of the chocolate.
Right. Or under the chocolate.
Oh, under the chocolate.
Yeah. Anyway. Our guests this afternoon are going to be Mr. Edno Roll and Mr. Dwayne Wood, who are with the management and non-management union of the Water and Sewage Corporation. So we'll have them coming up in quite a bit. We're going to take a little break and we'll bring them on in.
Good stuff.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have two guests, but before I introduce those guests, I want to tell you the story I was about to tell you about this modern world, man, and the kind of things that's going down. So the other day, it was a Sunday, I was out by the beach, by Sandals. And as I was coming back up the road, that road that goes down to the beach,
the cut.
Next to Sandals, right?
Yeah.
Cable Beach Manor.
Yeah.
There was this young, maybe 5'2" Caucasian female walking out, and she waved me down. So my immediate thing is, no, I'm just, whatever she's asking, it's a no. So she says to me, can you tell me where the swing by the sea is? I said, pardon? She goes, yeah, I've been looking online, and I want to go and visit the swing by the sea. I said, well, my dear, the only swing by the sea, I know there's a playground by Goodman's Bay. Yeah. But I mean, it's just a kid's playground. Oh, okay. She goes, I just thought it would be so wonderful to see this swing by the sea. I said, well, I don't know what your expectation is, but, it's really not that big of a deal. It's just a children's playground. She goes, well, okay, how do I get there? I said, I tell you what, if you want to get, I'll be happy to drop you there because it's on the way. So she said, fine, which is flag number one. Okay, but anyway, she gets in the car. And as we were driving, I find out, first of all, she is from Poland via Canada. Okay? So I said to her, I told her I showed her where the swing was, and obviously she realized this was not an attraction, not like Notre Dame or something like that. So I said, so where do you wish to go? Because I'm heading to my office. She goes, oh, well, could you tell me where the ferry is? I said, the ferry? The ferry to where? She goes to Blue Lagoon or whatever. And I could see that she wasn't versed. I said, well, it's not really a ferry. It's like, this is how you get to that excursion.
You gotta pay.
It's not, you have to pay. It's not like going to another island to visit or anything. It's a tour bus to the thing. So she says, oh, and how much is that? I said, well, I don't know, $100 and something. She goes, oh, wow. I said, well, let me ask you a question. What are you doing? What, she says, well, I'm just visiting, I said, and where were you staying? She goes, in the town. So I said, in the town? Where do you mean in the town?
In the town.
I'm thinking like Central Hotel, here on Charlotte Street, or maybe the Hilton, or something like that. Because when she said in the town, I'm thinking, what are you talking about? So I said, what's the name of the road that you're staying on? And this is when you know it's a problem. Carmichael Street.
Oh, no.
I said, what? I said, what do you mean, Carmichael? I said, you mean Carmichael Road? She says, oh, yeah, that's it. I said, well, it's not really a touristic area. How do you? She goes, oh, I'm couch surfing.
Oh, yes, I've heard.
I said,
that.
what?
Yes.
She said she's couch surfing. Do you know what that is, Kendall?
Yeah, I've
Kendrick?
heard about that.
I said, well, I'm an older guy. I don't know what couch surfing is. I mean, you get on a couch and take a wave. I don't know what that is. So she says, well, what it is you go online and there's a couch surfing site and you basically hook up with someone you don't know and you go and stay on their couch.
Yeah.
I said, have you lost your mind?
Yeah, it's a thing. You go and stay on people's couch.
I said, have you lost your mind?
Yeah.
I said, and who? I said, who are you staying with on Carmichael Street? She says something like, Leonard. Or something like that. I said,
Big Joe.
I said, hold on a second. I said, first of all, where's Leonard now? Why is Leonard not taking you around? Leonard have to go to work. He had to go to work. So she's taking the bus and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I said, but let me ask you a question. You just go on to strangers. You just go to different countries and go to strangers' house by the name of Leonard and just live on their couch? Yeah. I said, isn't that like a rape thing, possibility thing? She goes, no, they have reviews. I said, well, I don't know if you know this, but I think your hardcore rapists will probably create some reviews for themselves, probably 300-400 reviews of great. She goes, yeah, but it's not a problem. So I said, let me tell you something. When are you leaving? Because in my mind, I just want to get off the island. I don't want to, because this is a victim.
Are we taking an airport now?
So she says, tomorrow. I said, okay. I tell you what, let me line up some things for you to do. I took her to the hotel, give her an aquaventure. I kept her busy the whole day.
Yeah.
I said, and you're leaving tomorrow? She goes, yeah, I'm going to Miami. I'm going to go be couch surfing there.
Miami. Oh,
I said, well, that'll be their problem.
Yeah, that's safe.
But, I mean, I could not believe.
Yeah.
But apparently this is the thing.
That's a big thing, yeah. It's like an offshoot of Airbnb.
But for free.
But it's for free?
It's free.
No, boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't pay. It's just a way of meeting people.
Oh, I thought you paid.
No. It's just I want to meet people. It's about, it's adventurous.
Is, like, I would be nervous about who I have coming in my house, because the murderer could be coming to stay with me, and
from what I understand, the majority of couch surfing hosts are male, and a lot of the couch surfing guests are female. This doesn't anyway.
Yeah,
I know some fellas who will sign up for that couch surfing host right off the top.
They're listening to you now. They online.
So I just thought I'd share that with you because she was around 25, which is the age of my daughter. And let me tell you something. If my daughter does some couch surfing, you're going to be couch surfing for two. Okay? All right? We're going to need a couch safe and a lazy boy.
A couch and a chair.
A couch and a chair because I could be right there. Hey, Leonard, what's happening? What are we doing today? You got to say Leonard on Carmichael Street.
Wow.
Wait, anyway, I thought I would share that with you and the listening audience.
Welcome to Modern Travel.
And she says, oh, yeah, this is what,
it's
the millennials, we like to, Anyway, we got guests with us this evening, but I thought I'd give you a little.
That's a story.
Maybe you can negotiate that.
Yeah.
Pull up a little closer. Pull up that a little closer for me, please, Ednal. So we've got Ednal Roll, who is the president of the Water and Sewage Managerial Union. I don't know if that's the right name, but I'm saying that anyway. And we have Mr. Dwayne Woods, I seen you in the newspaper and stuff like that, who is the president of the non-managerial union. I don't know. What's the name? Give me the name of you.
Bahamas Utilities Services and Allied Workers Union, better known as the Busu.
You all don't fool around with them names.
Not at all.
What is his name? Busul?
Busu.
Yeah. You couldn't do. Listen, you know what my challenge to you is? Come up with something that's shorter, man. Bahamas Water and Sewage Corporation.
I have to respond.
Huh?
During my years as a broadcaster, I never called it that. I always, in my stories, I always said the Water and Sewage Union.
Yeah. But he's saying it's utilities, so that means other people could be in it, right?
Yeah. I would say the utilities.
But is anyone else in it?
Not yet.
So y'all planning for ahead, for down the road?
No, they planned. Before my time.
Okay, before your time.
It's ahead of my time.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, listen. First of all, and by the way, that's Mr. Dwayne Woods. First of all, thank you for coming on such short notice. I know you're not feeling 100%, so I really appreciate it. And I knew that you also wanted to make sure that Brother Roll was available to come and speak. Now, you realize that the average Bahamian, A, doesn't read the paper, and B, doesn't really necessarily know what's going on, and C, and this is the big one, have a well. Okay? So that's the big one, right? So they're not even tuned in. One third of Bahamas has a well, right? So they're not even tuned in to this because that ain't affecting them. But what? Just if you mightn't, if you don't mind, and I guess both of you might have similar concerns. What are the issues that are being worked on? Because I know you're still working on them and hopefully resolving them. But what are the issues that brought you to the point where you decided you both needed to take strike votes?
First of all, Ed, let me thank you for having us, and I'd like to say good evening to yourself, Jerome, and the wider Bahamas.
Jerome Miller.
It's never. Every week I come on with a different last name. Go ahead.
What happened with my union is over a period of time, we have not had any communication with the executives of the corporation and the board, and that time expanded to a year and 9 months. Within that time, we would have accrued some outstanding matters to the tune of about 32 outstanding matters. Okay. And it looked like nobody was paying us no attention. The straw that broke the camel's back was the last 2 suspensions. Thank God we were able to get the attention of the executives of the corporation and Director of Labor's attention by withdrawing our enthusiasm is what I call it.
Wait to rule? That's what you call it?
No, withdrawal of enthusiasm.
That's a new term. That's a new term now.
No, that's old, man.
That's a union.
That been here from King Hatchet was a hammer. Now he's a maul.
All right.
So that been around, but that's a polite way of putting it. I don't believe in withdrawing labor, but once you withdraw your enthusiasm, it suits the same purpose.
Yeah, sounds like a fine.
It's a thin line.
Fine.
As a union leader, you got to be able to confine it.
Yeah, you need a microscope for that one.
The perpendicular, line that like the Greenwich Meridian. Pilots got to know where that is. You got to know where that is. So as a union leader, you got to know where that is. As soon as we were able to get through those 2 matters, the very next day, the chairman put out a promotion list to upset the crowd again.
A promotion list?
Yes.
You mean people getting promoted?
An orthodox list which breaches the policy and procedure of promotions and breaches the industrial agreement. So we had a problem with this prior to him doing that. It would have been the second time he'd done so, and we would have been to the labor board on this same matter in January of 17, and they would have given the union the right to the dispute, send us back to the corporation to negotiate and come up with a new promotional procedure policy. We did that, and both the corporation and the union signed off on that policy, and again, that was breached. So this is the second policy we sign off on that is being breached, and the third time an unorthodox list is being pushed down the throats of the membership of the union.
So let me ask a question, because I think the general public now needs to understand this. You're saying that the owner, I'm going to use that in this case the corporation.
I thought the Bahamian people was the owner.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the owner. Right. I didn't call any name. I'd say the owner. The Bahamian
sure.
Whoever is the owner.
Right.
And versus this is owner versus labor, right? The capital, the human capital, right? Right. Have an agreement in place on how people get promoted?
It's a policy, yeah. People get promoted on a criteria. The criteria is related to a policy.
Right.
And they go hand in hand.
Right.
So
the owner can't just say, well, I think that guy is doing a good job, promote him.
I mean, the owner could promote anybody they want. But then the union has a right to promote the interests of the deserving persons as well.
Okay.
You see?
Okay.
So when you come and promoting someone who ain't waking, and the deserving persons who working and going up and beyond the call of duty working, and they see that they ain't getting promoted, what it does is this brings down the morale of the company.
It's very subjective, though, eh? Because because one will say, in theory, I could say, well, I think Ednil is working hard, and you could say you don't think he's working hard, and I could say Jerome is working hard. I mean, are there metrics?
Yes, what happens is that everybody's evaluated on a yearly basis.
Okay.
And you could see the trend of who waking from who ain't waking, or who waking up and beyond the call of duty.
Right.
I think promotion comes with waking up and beyond the call of duty, as well as giving you 120%.
Right.
Once you could see the organization could see where, or the supervisor could see that this person is going up and beyond the call of duty and qualified enough and doing the work to that extent, that they would recommend the person for promotion.
Right.
But what is being happening is that the powers that be is coming in. They don't know nobody. They just listening to the birds and the bees singing in the air and say, give this one, give that one, and that's what's happening. And it creates
Does that work on both sides, i.e. the union could put forward some people and say, well, so-and-so believes it, but then the management might say, well, based on what we see in terms of the evaluations, that doesn't warrant that promotion?
I'll tell you how. The union don't have a right to promote. Let me make that clear. It's a sole right of management to promote.
Right.
Now, under the agreement, management has that right to promote.
Right.
There's the same general condition. That's straightforward.
Right.
The same general conditions applies to the union, that the union have the right to promote the interests of those who are being disadvantaged and disenfranchised.
Right.
So let me give you a case in point. The corporation submitted a seniority listing to the union that shows all the employees and all who are the members of the union. It shows when they came, where they are, and when last they was promoted. And that listing showed that 96 persons within the corporation had not received a promotion anywhere from 10 years to 20 years and 2 months. The union had a problem with that. So the union wrote the corporation and said, look, HR must have fallen asleep to the wheel on this matter. Let us partner together, review the 96 files, see who are eligible, and those who are eligible, let's do something for them or do something about what happened here.
Not assuming that all might not be eligible.
Well, I mean,
you could have some slackers.
I don't think all would be eligible.
Right.
But my thing too is that if they wasn't eligible, why are they still on the job?
Well, I have a reason. I know a reason why.
So,
but
so the point is, that let's look at the situation.
Right.
This is a situation we have to pay attention to, and they promise. We asked them to do it over a 3-year period. We wasn't being unreasonable. So we asked for it to be done over a 3-year period.
The review to take place over a 3-year period.
And whatever have to be given the results.
Right.
It stalled them out over a 3-year period.
Okay. Right.
So, in all fairness to both sides, the corporation agreed to look into the matter. Up to now, I have yet to hear from them. But what they did is they started promoting people. When I look at the persons who are being promoted, 1 or 2 are coming from this list, but they're not dealing with the list as from the highest or the longest person deserving to get or to look at. They go in at friendship or who was recommended or.
Let me ask you a question.
It also appeared to the union that the sickest was getting promoted the quickest. Persons who been off the job in the last 2 years longer than 140 days sick, promoted.
Yeah.
So nothing wrong with that.
Let me ask you. I want to get to Ednil in a second, if you don't mind. But I want to ask you another question. This is a general question because it applies, in my view, to almost all government or quasi-government departments. And remember now, our job here is not to pick sides, just to ask the questions. And I'm sure you appreciate that.
No problem.
How long have you been with the corporation?
I've been with the corporation. June coming to make me 35 years of service.
You made a very interesting point about if someone's in a job for 20-something years and nothing's happening for them, and just assume these aren't the people who you would promote, but they aren't pulling their weight. How many people have you seen let go in that department in the last 30 years who were just not performing? Is that a common thing?
See, I mean, it's not common for persons to be let go like that. But let me say this to you. Labor, if you represent labor,
right,
you got to also look out for the goose that laying the golden egg. I don't support mediocrity. Okay?
Right.
That's straight off.
Right.
A fair day's work for fair day's pay.
So if the management came to you with a list, right, say that was 96 people. This is hypothetical. Forget about the 96. But just in your day-to-day cooperation with the management, right? And said, look, Mr. Woods, we're doing an evaluation here. We're looking at these evaluations for these 4 people. And for he's smiling. And for these 4 people, their performance hasn't been good in 20 years. Now, on the other hand, these 100 people, we're going to do something with them. We see with it. You would be, I don't know if the word is supportive, because I don't think it's like this enthusiasm. But you would not show your enthusiasm with regard to if a measure was taken in terms of supporting them.
See, Ed, you got to look at it. You can't just look at it that management bring that to me. Management have to be able to prove their case.
Well, no, of course. I'm talking about if you
we had a case
consult.
like that just yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We had a case, similar case just this year.
Okay.
From last year, we was battling with this person who management claimed wasn't pulling their weight.
Right.
We spoke with the guy. We met with management. They give him a time to pull up his socks. He didn't pull up his socks. That person is off the job, man.
Well, see, let me tell you what I think as a PR person. Jerome and I are PR people. And let me tell you where I think, and this is everywhere in this country in terms of PR, do themselves a disservice. See, we wouldn't hear about that. Okay? And it's your job, and being, to make sure that people are aware of that, because you know what we hear? We only hear when everyone walk off, everyone else walking off. If someone gets suspended, we're going to take a break. For something that was not just, you walk off, obviously, to support that person. But we don't hear when you don't walk off. You understand what I'm saying? So what happens to the general public? Anytime they see the union walking off for something, look at them again. You can't fire no one. So as you fire someone, they're on the way. But we don't hear when you support the thing.
I don't think they have that view of the Booster. They know once we go, you have a reason.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just talking. This happens generally, right? You don't. The word is not out about when you do support the move, and therefore there doesn't seem to be a balanced approach on that. That's just a little PR tip from Jerome Knowles and myself. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. It feels here again with Edna Roll and Mr. Dwayne Woods, who's taking the Buckleys. That's all I could say. Please, when you cough out by Edna, eh? And Jerome Stewart. Listen, Edna Roll is the president of the managerial. It's an interesting question. So, I assume this is mid-management that you represent, correct? Right. But I imagine that mid-management also is involved in the process of promotion, i.e., you have people who you report to your level of staff, and so you would, I assume, also make recommendation on people who should get promoted, etc., or just at your level, but not below you as well.
No, everybody from even junior staff, because supervisors wouldn't make recommendations, so it comes up the ladder.
So you all ever have a disagreement?
Of course we do.
You and Mr. Wood. In terms of,
but what I'm saying is, you argue the point. Like he says, you sit down, you discuss the matter.
Okay.
We can argue the point back and forth, and the decision is made.
Okay.
And we try to live a decision.
Okay. All right. Managerial unions are not common in many places, especially in the Bahamas. How does that work in terms of you being a part of management? How does it work in terms of your day-to-day role, your day-to-day responsibility?
It's too hard, but the whole idea is this. If managers by themselves were able to get the support from the owner There probably would never been a
You like
management.
that name now?
There would never be a management union. There'll never be a management union. It's because professionals felt that their professional opinion was not being honored, and that's why they banned together and form a union.
One of the things that always just kind of is perplexing to me is, and you kind of use the word about the golden goose, right? Is how is it that you have an entity, you have a mission, right? That is to deliver the supply of water, clean, safe water to the Bahamian people. And by the way, I don't know where the status is now, but I mean, there's lots of issues in that regard. And we'll talk about that. But how is it that there's so much room for dispute? You'd think that, let's get together, sit down, let's determine what's going to happen. And this is on both sides. Why do you think there's always so much, conflict and tension as opposed to, that being not the norm?
I don't think there's conflict in regards to structure like that. That's not a reason for conflict, because all of us have a job to do.
Right.
So we have to do our job.
Right.
The conflict comes into the terms and conditions. In other words, if somebody working in sewer and we find the conditions are unsafe,
right,
I have an obligation to make it safe. Now, when issues happen where, for whatever reason, equipment break down, something like that, now it becomes an unsafe condition. The union gets involved.
But the question I'm asking, this on both sides, right? Yeah. I'm only using your example now because you're here. Is then why not fix it? I mean, it's if there's something. I'm not talking about you could stub your toe. If something is unsafe, right? Then it's unsafe. There's no gray.
Well,
Yeah,
but we see, even, like you say, there are a lot of rules and procedures. So even when it's unsafe, now you have to call the safety department. They come in and do a proper assessment, and they say, okay, based on this, this condition will be unsafe for the next 3 days, and so for the next 3 days, those persons could be off. So everything has procedures.
Right. It seems very complex.
When those procedures are not followed, it opens grounds for disputes.
A different question.
Say again?
It seemed to me like you were asking why are the issues not being resolved.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same point, similar to what he's saying. He's saying that, you have a situation, and he's making it very clear to me, Edna is, that, I don't know, maybe I operate in a black and white dimension, right? Where if the pipe break, fix it.
Right.
It's no middle ground between the pipe break and fixing it, right?
You may think there's procedures.
Okay.
There's water and food procedures, right?
Yeah.
The Ministry of Works procedures, and all must be followed. And if there's a flaw in one of them, somebody gotta pay. And so therefore, whether you like it or not, you have to follow those. You have to follow those things. Right. And you say you got waste now. It's $10,000.
It's what?
A pop. $10,000 a pop now. When you make a mistake.
With the road.
So,
well, then just fix it back, and you won't have to worry about the $10,000.
You still spending $10,000.
Why are you supposed to spend it? Even so, hold on, we can get into that later. We can in a couple of minutes, right? But I want to ask this one last question on this thing. When you have, I see. I'm looking at the United States. I'm using more so the electrical utility company, but I guess it happens in the water company too. You go and you see, I come in on you with this one. You go and you see a guy in a truck, one guy in a bucket truck, he fixing the wire. Mm-hmm. Here you see 10 guys. Water and sewage, I imagine the same thing. I haven't seen a lot of water and sewage guys in the States, but same thing. It seems to be a lot of people. Now, this is the question we got to ask you. It seems to be a lot of people sitting around. That's only me and the Bahamian people observing that now. Help me to understand.
Standards. It comes down to standards. In the United States, they accept that one person could do that. In the Bahamas, for safety reasons, there are a lot of things, from our perspective, we are not up to international standards. And so you must have a backup. If a sewer guy goes down, there has to be somebody up there in case he fakes.
I get that.
So,
but it's not 13 people that have to be there. All the trucks are there.
No. And some the other you must understand is also learning. They also have people who do learn on the job. It's not necessarily. See, I know you. It looks that way. I'm telling you.
It's me now. Yeah, help me with that.
Let's just say everything water and sewage do is underground.
Underground.
First and foremost.
Right.
You got to pick. As one person picking, one person shoveling.
So you can't pick and shovel.
Well, I mean,
you got to do one is a pick, one is a shovel.
If you're going down beneath the ground, let's say with 7 to 8 feet.
Right. That's a backhoe.
But not all the time.
Okay.
Not all the time. Yeah. Wherever cable is, then you got BEC cable in the same ground. Right. So that means 2 or 3 of those positions marking for BEC as well. Not all those positions may necessarily be water and sewage personnel.
So 3 people got to mark?
No. Let's say BEC may send a team of 2.
Okay.
To mark. But Telco may send a team of 2 to mark. And then water and sewage may have a team.
When they just leave?
Water and sewage may have a team of about 4.
Okay.
So the point is that you got those. No, they can't just leave because if you hit the line,
that's it.
They got to be there. So it looked to you like 8 people. And that's how you get your 8 voices.
So here's where I tell you once again you can use.
That's not cleared up.
Yeah, let me tell you where me and Jerome, what's your name? Is it Johnson? Jerome Johnson can help you out. Okay. In terms of PR, this is very important stuff. This is very important stuff. I've given you more free tips today than you might ever get. Okay. This is the Bahamas. I am 60 years old. I am of the impression that when I see 18 trucks and one person in the hole, that there's a lot of overtime. Let me finish now. So this is where, once again, this PR has to come into play because this is the public perception, Mr. Brother Woods. Not anger or whatever. The perception is this is what they see, and no one has ever explained it. Okay? So until you can put yourself in a position where, first of all, we believe they all had water and sewage. We didn't even know 2 was from BC. Okay? So you got to be able to show people this is what's going on. Because what you see is a lot of people sitting around. By the way, I was at one utility company behind that wall. I can tell you right where it is off the air. It was a lot of Guinness bottle, but that's another story. Now, all I'm saying is, okay? No, of course not. Now, all I'm saying, okay? Now, I can tell you about that story in a second. But all I'm saying to you is, if this is the case, now, going back to Edno's point about standard, Edno, in all due respects, I'm hearing all the time about how we are up to speed than anyone else in the world. And that's what I'm hearing. I hear this we hear it on a daily basis when they say you're bringing in foreigners to do this or bringing in this one. Well, you got to bring in them people. We scale to do that. So if in the U.S. they can have a standard, right, where one person or 2 people or how much ever is required can do something, why we need to dictate if we have to standard? Why can we not get to that standard where we can have that same protocol that they have somewhere else?
I mean, it is work in progress. You have to accept that it's work in progress.
That's a long.
No, you can't say it's long because you see you have the commitment first to get there.
Yeah.
If you don't have the commitment to get there, that could always be a problem.
Now, when you say that, you mean what? From the owner's perspective?
From the owner's perspective, yes.
You use it. Look out! You got to pay me a royalty on that word. Yes, sir. All right. Listen.
I can't be the general.
Okay.
But do you accept though that these are the things that cause the public not to support you or cause the public to react negatively? Because, and I'll tell you, even from you're talking PR perspective, the only time we hear from the union, and the only time, and I think I said this to you when you and I sat and talked on my show, the only time we hear from you is when there's an issue. So again, there has to be, and maybe all the unions could sit and look at how you talk to the public, during times of plenty or during times of good. Whether it is you come on these radio stations or you do certain things to explain to the public your work, what you do, some of the things that you face. Because like I said, 10 people, I see one fell in the hole and 10 people standing around with their arm pulled.
I don't know no crew within my union what is larger than 4 personnel. Okay. No crews.
But again, all right, so here's my thing. You said 4 may come from you, right?
2 from at BEC, any one time you could have a
2
a
from BTC.
Okay.
So
but that's not common.
Now, let me tell you what I'm
common.
seeing. I'm in traffic. I'm driving by.
Yeah.
I see 8 people. I necessarily, everybody wearing blue.
Truck. Everyone got their own truck.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily going, well, those 4 are from da-da-da.
But the next time you do that,
now
look and see if cables are overhead or you have cables.
You see what you just you see what this discussion just did.
Right.
Now it helped me to understand.
Right.
Hopefully people who are listening and go, oh, okay, so maybe next time.
By the way, that is. Let me tell you how important that is. And I'm saying this. You see, we try to be extremely fair on this show, right? Let me tell you how important that is. I'm 60 years old, okay, and I'm telling you that not once in my lifetime has there been any kind of explanation as to what's going around that hole, whether it's BPL, whether it's water and sewage. In fact, the only people sometimes that you see very few people around is the private company. So this is impression that you got someone to pick up the pickaxe, someone to move the pickaxe, someone to string the pickaxe. There's this impression about these layers and layers of what do you call them, categories, and that once their job is to dig the hole, then they got to stay there. Okay, for the whole duration of the job, once the whole digging is over, but then they're not the one who fill in the hole. So why is the person who digging the hole? I mean, I'm making this up. Why is the person who's digging I can see Dwayne is going like, do we have that? Why is the person digging the hole? If he finished digging, go home or go back to work,
go to the next
and then go to the next place to dig, as opposed to staying there for the whole time. That's the kind of maybe misperception that the public has. And it's very easy for you to avail yourselves of shows like this, etc., to explain these things away so people understand it. That's all.
I agree with you.
Well, I think Ministry of Works is getting ready to do some stuff, and I guess when they do it, it'll explain to you how even in setting to do a job, the additional manpower they're now requiring just to set up a job.
Just to set up a job.
I would suggest too that the union make itself available as well. You don't have to wait on the ministry. You should get your own campaign to go and defend the work that your members do every day.
My union do that every Labor Day.
Yeah, come on.
I'll show you. What we do is, this is what we do. We go on talk show. We lift up the corporation.
Yeah.
Our Labor Day T-shirts. We also advertise the corporation on the back.
What if I off the island?
Dwayne, you have an obligation to your members. I'm being Mr. Lecturer now, right? You have an obligation to your members to have a PR wing of your executive. That sole job is to show what the union is doing, good, bad, and different, so that people have a balanced perspective. Now, we got only a couple more minutes left, and we're going to invite you back because there's more to cover. Go ahead, Edna.
I need to speak about our situation.
Go ahead.
What it is our outstanding industrial agreement.
Okay.
Which has not been signed by the chairman over these last 2 years.
Okay. What is the reason for that? Is it outstanding or disagreement in positions?
No, he has taken a position, which I have asked him, this make 20 days now, to come to the public, bring all the information you have from the union over this period. You and the union have been negotiating. And the 2 years prior to him, because you have the records for that too, put all that in the public eye and let the public make a decision whether or not his position has any validity.
Yeah. See, this is the other thing. You bring up a point, right? This is the other thing that I never get about union negotiations from the public perspective. No one really knows what the hell is going on. No one knows, and this is a public corporation, so we should know. We don't know what's the list of 8 things or 10 or 15 things that you're asking, what the counterposition is, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we should know. Don't you agree? Or is that stuff supposed to be kept in secret?
No, you know both sides basically do announce when they pass on their draft. The actual negotiation is different, but the draft is available, I'm sure.
Yeah, but see, but that point, that by the time you get to the draft, right? That's when it's almost completed, correct?
No.
What is the
draft? The draft is the initial document.
Oh, the initial document.
Yes,
okay, all right. And so, but do we know what the sticking points are? See, this again goes into PR. This is all we live in. This is the world we live in because this is where the perceptions are formed, right? I'll see an article saying union negotiations stalled. Stalled over what? I don't know what it's stalled over. It could be something that the public supports you on versus, would they support the management on?
And that's the reason why in the public domain now.
Okay.
Because the only way it can be resolved is by the public.
Right.
It's only there. You see, person can have an opinion. They could do a twist. They could twist it how they want to do it.
Right.
But when in the public domain, then it's a whole different kettle of fish. The public then determines whether what you say have validity or not. And that's very important. We get him out there.
We have to go, right? But I'm going to ask you to come back at some point. But let me ask you, just real quick before we go. So you took both unions took a strike vote.
Yes.
Does that mean that a strike is imminent, or that's just a tool you have? How are negotiations going? Let me put it that way.
We haven't started negotiations yet.
On both sides?
Yeah, we just was invited to a meeting on the 7th.
Both unions? Or, okay, all right. Mm-hmm. So at least, yeah.
Well, I can't say that because as I told them, I've written them and told them, if it ain't about the signing and execution of the agreement, you know.
But isn't that kind of...
Because remember now, this chairman meant the agreement already finished. All he do is sign and execute.
Oh, I see. You're saying that the agreement was agreed by the previous administration. So this... Well, why didn't they sign it? I just ask. It's just questions.
It's political stuff that got involved in that.
Previous.
Yeah.
It just seems so, so much of a waste of time.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's my contention. It's such a waste of time.
I mean, if it was agreed, why not just sign it? How long does it take to sign? I guess around out of ink. Listen, Edna, Dwayne, listen, man. I know you're not feeling good. You got the Buckleys. Jerome Gomez and I thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
No, let me rephrase it. Saint Jerome. And I thank you. And listen, all we try to do here, I see you come with this bag, man. You wouldn't even have time to pull out one of them things, man.
Right. That's the ammo there.
Yeah, but don't worry. We just try to be free flowing, and get the information out there. So when you're feeling a little better, let us know. Keep us up to date, man.
Listen. You all are smart me. You all keep harassing me to come on this show. Come to find out it's you.
Yeah, I'm saying to you, I'm saying to you, as things go along, I realize there's things that are sensitive that you can't put in the public domain. But as things are going along, even if it's only 15 minutes or so, just come and let us know how things are going. I'll
take you up on that. And what I would like to say is that, and for the public to have a great understanding of what my union and the National Union is about, although we proceeded to the level of the strike vote,
right,
it is not imminent that we have to strike.
Right.
The ball now is in the corporation's court.
The owner.
To do the owner's court. To do the honors and to try to find a neutral ground that we both parties could agree with.
Yeah. All right, well, you're saying reasonable people.
And there will be no need for strikes.
All right, well, you're saying like reasonable men, so we'll rely on you. But remember now, I unwell, so
that's short lived too.
No, you have something.
Oh yes.
Now you have outrage.
The legislation is almost there, brother.
Yeah, but
you'll be paying us.
Yeah,
we still get royalties.
Don't fool with that. We got Jerome. Let's get a public citizen strike vote tomorrow.
Are you ready?
Yeah, because I need my supply constant. We'll be right back. I have back. But listen, don't worry. I still pay you all. I have backup. I have a backup.
To solve these problems now.
Do this to legislation. The legislation should be. If you have a well, you have to have a supply too. I got that.
No.
Yeah, that's what I want you to do.
No. The water falls under Water Sewage Corporation. You extracting that illegally.
We passed that now. We got solar and thing now. We'll be back on Monday. And we'll talk with Edna. I have to be in the negotiation room on that. We'll be right back. We'll be back on Monday.